Day, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are, and thank you for joining us today for Unveiling HPE Mobile Center's latest innovations webinar. Today's webinar is brought to us today by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Our moderator today is Anton Amir. Anton is the Global Mobile Lead for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. We have 4 wonderful speakers today as well. Our first speaker, in addition to Anton, he will be speaking as well, is Mittal Parekh. Mittal is the Vice President of Products and Strategy for Jenny Mobile Incorporated. Our third speaker today is Dylan Thomas. He is the Product Manager for Security at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, focusing on Fortify. And our fourth and final speaker today is Jason Bryant, who is a Software Quality Assurance Manager with AutoZone. A little housekeeping before we begin. Today's live session is intended for all Vivit members. The recording will be posted in the webinar section on the Vivit website, visible for all members to watch on demand. Additionally, today's slide deck and webinar recording will be made available to you. We will send you the link via an email in the next day or two once they are posted to the Vivit website. If you have questions as we are going along, please be sure to type them in and send them in using the questions pane in the webinar control panel shown on the next slide. Here's a picture of the GoToWebinar control panel that usually appears in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. To submit a question, make sure the questions pane is expanded and type in your question and click on send when you're done typing in your question. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll pass it over to Anton.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. I'll need to share my screen in 1 second. Right. I guess you can now see my screen.
Looks great.
Right,
looks great, Anton.
So, well, welcome all to this very exciting webinar. We've been, preparing it for a bit of time now. And yes, as Stephanie was just saying, we'll unveil some of the latest innovations that we released as part of the latest version of Mobile Center. So let me go to the next slide. I hope it just works here just fine. Okay, so here's the agenda that we put together for you. I'll start with a recap on Mobile Center and how it hooks into the overall user experience story. Then we're going to have 3 main innovations and talk about emulators, talk about the importance of embedding analytics and feedback in your mobile testing framework. And a very nice addition to the Mobile Center solution, which is security. And I'm very pleased to have Dylan here. And also, as I usually say, the proof is in the pudding. So we'll have a very nice case study with Brian from AutoZone, who's the QA from AutoZone practice, and that will share, very nice insight into how those guys are organized. Right. So I think first, I know we are all here in this webinar because we know that we all want our work to be meaningful and to be valuable. So we are trying to find solutions that really help us create something our users like, find useful. And obviously, we want to reach potentially millions and maybe for some of us, billions of users. So the point is we are really placing users at the core of our strategy. Our users, mobile device users, mobile app users, expect their apps to work seamlessly regardless of the choice of technology, their location, the context, and we sometimes talk about right time experience. Our users expect mobile apps to be valuable, to be elegant, to be useful among all of plenty of aspects of user experience. We often talk about the criticality of this UX. Now, if I have a step back here, we understand that UX is emotional and is really driven by how users think, perceive, and feel. And then we are thinking about various factors like intimacy, immediacy, privacy. And the user's perception really matter tremendously. So we know that when our end users enjoy using the app, disregarding whether it's a B2B app or B2C app, they will keep using it tell their colleagues, their friends, and whoever to encourage others to also use the app. So we know that the qualities of an app have a significant effects on the UX. Good quality software, actually, we know may not actually be enough to provide a brilliant user experience, but we know that poor quality is very likely to adversely affect their experience and obviously memories of that app. So obviously one of the first challenge is to put together a way of measuring this user experience and however subjective it might be. And there, I'm trying on this slide to, capture a few of the attributes that we have to measure UX against. And there's a few things, that we want to reveal about the interaction about the app. There's some aspect of effectiveness, usability, utility. There's a level of efficiency as well that we have to monitor. And there's also some sort of degree of satisfaction behind it, right? So all in all, as we design our app or design our mobile testing framework, all those metrics have to address some critical questions, such as, will the users recommend the product, which is the mobile app here, or the overall service behind it? Is the new version more efficient to use than the current one? Do the users feel good after using the app? And we understand that now this is actually getting a bit complex. So there are actually many ways of that quality can actually be measured. Some practitioners are still actually using this 2011 framework that was built more than a decade ago. It's really a product quality model composed of eight characteristics. However, there are still a few things that are missing, such as localizations, the security aspect of it, which are not necessarily rightly applied to mobile applications. So we do have, great framework outside to help us, but, because of the complexity of the user experience, we have to enhance this framework. And I just want to mention a few works from several thought leaders. One, a very good one, is a very nice article that Jonathan Cole put together a few years ago, which is I/FUN, which is a heuristic that stands for key quality attributes that we have to measure UX against. Something I would highly recommend you to read. It's only like 4 or 5-page article, a very nice one. Well, I think, all in all, what we're trying to do here in mobile apps is deliver something really amazing, really valuable to the end users. But the biggest, ugly, hairy monster in the room here is fragmentations. But fragmentations, if we think about it, does not come just in terms of device characteristics or number of OS platforms and the differences between Windows, BlackBerry, Android, and iOS. It's also all about how users are interacting with the applications, the user settings, the number of applications they have on the device, the different preferences, how the device is configured, whether it's notifications or not. And even the gestures also greatly varies according to the operating system. And if you think about it as well, we also have to face the fragmentation of our own app. And the point here is that fragmentation complicates development, complicates testing, and it increases both cost and time to value. So now, where does Mobile Center fit into this whole story? So first, obviously, we have to develop the app along with the test process, and there's various methodologies to do that. One of the emerging topics in mobile testing is to place mobile analytics very early in the development life cycle, and this is actually one of the key innovations that we released that we'll review a bit later in the webinar. Well, unfortunately, mobile security is still not really regarded as a core discipline in many mobile teams. So here, what we've done here is helping developers and testers run security scans right from Mobile Center, and we're going to have Dylan from 45 just talk about the importance of including mobile security very early in the life cycle and how we've done that with Mobile Center. So, one of the key aspects is to test the various use cases, as was mentioned earlier. And now, we're talking about the utilities aspect of app, the functional suitability, the usability, compatibility, reliability, using, tools that you probably guys been using for a long time, HPE Sprinter for manual exploratory testing, UFT, LeanFT for automated functional testing, and Storm Load to monitor the performance of your app. Then obviously, once the app is in production, we need to continuously monitor the performance and availability of both the app and the service from a user perspective by using Apple's Active. And last but not least, we need to aggregate the feedback that we find on the app stores, this all human sentiment about using the app to refine our overall strategy. So how does Mobile Center fit into the story? Well, it actually expands all the products here to the mobile technology, right? So the point is here, when we have mobile teams and organizations acquiring Mobile Center really provide them access to real devices and emulator. And for instance, in the functional automated world, Mobile Center has the ability to identify objects, manipulate objects, and perform almost any operations on the devices. Mobile Center really adds the mobile-specific utility functions that really mimic the actions, the end-user actions that users will take while operating a mobile device, such as press keys, any sort of tap, open app, select image, any even OS level input. Virtualizing incoming calls for interaction testing. And again, the whole point here is to allow to have fast and easy, but also maintainable mobile scripting. We've also embedded in Mobile Center some diagnostic functions to show the device vital, the memory allocations, the impact on battery, and the number of processes that we're capturing that are running on the device, which are specific to devices. Now, we're saying that Mobile Center allows you to do testing on real devices, which are either plugged right on your laptop or maybe secured in a white room somewhere else. And, we can have a team that is actually doing testing in one country with the devices in another one. We also allow the setup of a private cloud of devices, so we know that there's a high aspect of security behind devices that can get stolen. So the devices can be placed in a wide secure room. And the beauty of it is that Mobile Center includes network virtualization, which actually allows you to simulate any network conditions. So we know that the secured rooms sometimes, they do not allow access to 3G or 2G to any network. So by including network virtualizations from HPE, we're actually allowing the devices to actually work as usual. One of the key things as well that we're going to talk about today is how Mobile Center now expands to emulator. And one of the key things as well is that we also have the ability right from Mobile Center to include whatever aspect of user experience is impacting your end user right from Mobile Center. Okay, so now here's one of the key topics that we wanted to talk with you guys today. So we talked about the importance of validating the various aspects of the user experience, and this includes the validation of user stories, and we talked about the importance of validating the device characteristics, all the user stories behind it. Now, when we're keeping up with needs for high quality, frequent mobile app releases, any tool that actually let us perform testing more quickly and cost effectively needs to be considered. So I would say it's sort of normal that now we are considering emulators as a hot topic. So I'd like to welcome to discuss with me now Mital, who's the VP of Product from Genie Mobile, to discuss and get your perspective, Mital, as you are the provider of the world's leading Android emulator. What is your perspective on this specific topic?
Thanks, Antoine. Yes, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
First of all, thank you for having this opportunity to us to share the stage.
So, Mita, you're breaking up?
Middle, we're not able to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
There you are.
Better?
Great.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes.
Excellent. All right. So let's understand the role of emulators versus real device testing. Okay. So first of all, there is a time and place for both of them. Okay. There are a variety of ways to test mobile applications depending on two main aspects. What stage of application development and deployment lifecycle you are in, and what is your role. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are both emulators and real devices. They play a good role. Now, here's the thing. They complement each other in order to ensure agility in your application development process and to bring you the device coverage. Why do I say that? Okay, if you are a developer, you already know that you are going to use, you need speed, you need control, you need convenience. Okay, you need efficiency. You are going to use emulator to test application as you develop it. And don't forget, while you are developing your application, other developers are developing part of the same application. So I'm going to touch upon this in a later slide. But that's where the emulator comes in. Once you reach a milestone, most likely to test it one more time on real device. You are quickly going to bring in emulator again when your QA person files a bug and you want to reproduce it. However, on the other side, if you are a QA person, you are going to run automated tests. Most likely, you are going to choose emulator to start with. And for all those business critical applications, you are going to perform one final round or round of testing using real devices. So here, all in all, okay, without boiling the ocean, there is a time and place for both. However, just like anything else, right, there is a difference. You are going to still look at real devices, okay, when you are going to need the replica of experience for the real devices. You want to ensure that all the OEM specific quirks are taken care of, okay. So there, and time and again, we have observed, coming from emulator world, time and again, we still have observed that there are sensors, there are nuances in brand new hardware devices that emulators either don't support or they take time to support. So for those things, you are still going to need real devices. So there you go, Antoine. You are going to have both these required.
Okay, and you know what? One of the key things that actually really surprised me with Genymotion, the emulator that your company is providing, is exactly what you stated. Is the ability to emulate the various states of various sensors, because ultimately our customers and mobile teams are going to try to understand what is the thing they cannot do on emulators versus real devices, and there's a cost behind it, right? And I've been extremely surprised by the ability for Genymotion to emulate the various sensors, even the battery, the network, the availability of resources, and this is exactly what matters. Is looking at the technical details and the ability for any emulator to actually mimic the real devices as much as possible. So, okay, all right. Shall we move to the next slide?
Sure.
Okay. So the key things here that we've been working on is well, now we had so many questions from our customers. Do you guys actually support emulators? Well, again, here we went for not just supporting emulators, not any emulators, but for supporting the one which is extremely well recognized by mobile developers and testers by being the world's leading Android emulator. And again, it's not just a marketing statement; it's really what's happening on the marketplace. So I think here, I think we're on the right place here with Genymobile. So Mita, let me give the floor to you now, and so you can explain, who's behind Genymotion, because I'm sure a lot of people actually will have questions about who you are and what you do.
Excellent. Thanks, Antoine. So guys, before we dive into Genymotion, I want to make sure that we all understand where it comes from. So Genymotion is by a company named Jenny Mobile, that's an international leader in Android technologies. So in a nutshell, what we are all about Android for enterprises. What Red Hat has done to Linux is what Jenny Mobile is doing to Android. Yes, you heard it right. So it's all about Android, right from when you look at devices, applications, and data on top of that. And it's not, again, just a marketing statement. We have 5 million registered users in 50+ countries using our products on daily basis. Last year, we grew 300%. And at the bottom, you are looking at sampling of our marquee customers. We have around 10,000 enterprise-grade customers and offices in San Francisco, Paris, and Lyon. Let's go to the next slide, please. All right. So as I mentioned, before we dive into Genymotion, our emulator, I wanted to give you a quick rundown of why we believe that we are Android for enterprises. Whether you are building your application, testing your application, deploying your application, supporting your application, yes, you heard it right. We have products that cater to the needs of variety of use cases and variety of enterprises, right from when you deal with devices, mobile application development and deployment, and configuring your mobile device in order to ensure that that device is ready for deploying those applications. In a nutshell, we have 3 products. Jenny Master, that allows you to build your own Android distribution, own ROM that caters to your needs regarding branding, security, control, and compliance. We have Jenny Deploy that allows you to configure your existing Android distribution before you roll out to thousands of devices. And last, and the topic of this discussion, is Genymotion. That's our industry-leading Android emulator that caters to the needs of a variety of end users or users. Let's go to the next slide. So what's Genymotion? So Genymotion by Jenny Mobile is the best Android emulator. Okay, and we just don't say it. 5 million users, they say it on daily basis. And why do we say that? As I mentioned, it's for developers, it's for QA, it's for UI UX, and on top of that, for unsung heroes like sales, marketing, and support. So whether you are a developer with developing your application or part of your application, you are QA testing it, or sales and marketing who are demonstrating your applications once it's built, or help desk or support people if you are solving problems with end user devices and their applications. Genymotion by Jenny Mobile is for you. It's available on all 3 platforms, so Windows, Mac, and Linux, and more advancements to come in the future. And we have 10,000 business customers and growing. Why do I believe that Genymotion is the best Android emulator? So let's go to the next slide. The reason is very clear here. It's one and only emulator that offers you exactly what you need and nothing you don't. So let's start very simple, is that if you look at the coverage in terms of device sensors, in terms of instrumentation, there is no comparison. And I encourage you to use it and see it for yourself. It's professionally supported. Yes, you heard it right. So this is not a free version of emulators that will leave you out in the cold. We have real support staff supporting it. And if you are a developer, if you are a QA, you know what exactly I mean, that you're serious about using this, you are going to automate it. You are going to need command line tools. You are going to need shell scripts. You are going to need Java APIs to write your test scripts and automate it on a nightly basis or run those scripts. The story doesn't end there. This is the only emulator that provides a Gradle plugin. If you are a serious developer, if you are developing a mission-critical enterprise-grade mobile application, you know how important that is. Okay, and last but not the least, Genymotion provides continuous CI integration, continuous integration server integration. So if you know exactly what this means, this practically takes this huge chunk of work out of your hands. You can automate it and put it on with CI so that once you set it, you don't have to worry about it at all. So when you bring all these things together, right, now I'm sure many of you are taking a mental note as to, hey, let me compare with what I'm using. And you are going to see that this is by far the most advanced emulator. Android, Antoine.
All right. Obviously, you have a very nice ending for all of our customers. Get 1 free month term license of Genymotion. So thank you for that. And if in case, well, I think it's going to be on the slides so people can download it and get. And I think it's a dummy code, right? And people have to actually contact you, referring to this webinar, right?
Yes, if you send an email to sales@genymobile.com, we'll be happy to ship you this free license. That's good for a month, and you can use on 5 virtual devices.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, Andrew.
And one of the key things, thanks, Mital. One of the key things that you've been mentioning is that right from Mobile Center now, you can, as part of the continuous testing framework, automatically push the APK file on real devices, but now also on Genymotion licenses. It requires 2 different install, but this is also something we're working on. So at this point in time, from a continuous testing framework, it really doesn't make any difference whether you're doing testing on real devices or Genymotion emulator. It's going to be all available for Mobile Center. So okay, now I'd like to spend 5 minutes on a sort of an emerging topic, which is applying mobile analytics to improve mobile testing. And this approach actually is likely to rank as one of the most capable and most powerful approaches as mobile testing teams becomes a little bit more established in their testing maturity. So now, we've talked a lot about continuous testing, automated testing. Now we want to help optimize your mobile testing strategy by applying some mobile analytics and feedback right from the start. So what we've done here is integrate Mobile Center with our mobile analytics tool, which is Apple's Mobile. So Apple's Mobile, for the guys who are not aware of that great product, it's a SaaS product today. This is our mobile analytics products that really captures all aspects of the user experience. So meaning the crashes, the performance for the app to launch, the performance between the different taps and gestures, the impact of the app on the battery, the impact on the network, and also capturing all the different navigation flows. And we also consolidate all the different feedback, as you might see on the screen, under a Fundex here. You have 82 out of 100. This is a unique mobile user experience benchmark index that we call Fundex, so some sort of an index of fun that the users have been having. So it's a really an easy way to score this user experience and really take into account each negative application occurrence, again, such as crashes or slow actions. So why are we considering shifting mobile analytics left, very early in the life cycle? Well, if you have to take into account your requirements as a mobile tester, well, first is you need to understand and select the devices to test the app on. You also need to start testing the app because of the importance of UX, as we've been mentioning earlier. You need to test from a user's mindset. And obviously, there's not just one profile of mindset. There's so many different mindsets. Test them on the right conditions, the timing, the context, the location of the end users. And I'm going to save the last one for a bit later. So what you would actually get by embedding Apple's Mobile right inside Mobile Center is, well, Apple's Mobile allows you to capture all the different OS and device combinations, and also allows you to identify what combination of OS and devices crashes the most. So when you go back in your testing practices, you now understand what are these combination and OS of devices that you need to prioritize, right? And then you said, you know what? I have to test on 50 devices, 50 combinations. This is my priority number one. And you'll find out that you only have 20% of those real devices. Okay, so maybe now, because of emulators, you can expand and scale your testing by increasing your test coverage. But the point here is that analytics can tell you and help you refine the device testing metrics. Another key thing is how much of our work is on target. We might spend hours and hours and hiring staff to do testing and automate 1,000, 2,000 automated scripts. That's great. But how much of those scripts are actually on target and mirroring the way users interact with the app? So now Apple's Mobile, as an SDK library, allows us to completely capture the end-to-end navigation flows. So we really know how users are interacting with the app, how they tap, what are the different types of gestures, and what are the most valuable and most popular features they're using in the app. So the point is here that you can refine the automated scripts according to how end users are really interacting with the app. And you're all getting that from Apple's Mobile. But now it's also a way of, I need to test under the right conditions, under the right network, right? So Apple's Mobile actually allows you to get all the different network trails and locations. So again, you put a better persona-driven testing mindset in your practices. Now, there's another reason why we actually are suggesting that all of our mobile team and customers are shifting mobile analytics left. If you think about it, mobile analytics is our SDK, our third-party code that you're going to embed in your mobile app. Now you have to understand that this SDK can actually impact the user experience. So those mobile analytics and SDK are here to monitor the user experience, right? But what about the impact of those SDKs on the overall UX? And we know customers are not just using one SDK at a time. You might have up to 20, 25, which I've already seen on the marketplace. So by embedding analytics very early, you also want to embed and test all those SDK and making sure that first they are accurate in terms of the data they provide you back, but also they do not impact the user experience. So here are a few screenshots that you are getting from Apple's Mobile. You're going to get the different timelines, the different threads, but also the different crash trails. So capturing what actions actually led to a crash, which is something extremely valuable as you want to replay it and as you want to refine your scripts. A very nice addition from the Apple's Mobile team, which you're also getting from Mobile Center, is the locations of the users and time of using the app. So again, when you start to design your mobile performance testing plan, you're getting a little bit more accurate in terms of really capturing how users are using the app. Last but not least, we know that feedback is one of the closest means we have without directly interviewing the users, of getting the impressions, this whole feedback, the feedback on the human aspect, the human sentiment of your app. And we know that App Store feedback include recommendations and requests from users, which are really worth considering, and sometimes they report problems that might otherwise go unnoticed by the development team. So now we've included a beta version of a sentiment analysis team product that will scan end user comments and aggregate it for you according to 9 different attributes. And this is again available right from Mobile Center. There's no additional cost, any hidden options behind it. When our customers acquire Mobile Center, they'll get access to the service, again because of the importance of embedding feedback from one central place. So I've actually written a book with an external author, Julian Harty, which is one of the top mobility experts on mobile analytics in the world. So we spent a few months writing together a book on why should one consider applying mobile analytics to enhance testing. So it's a 160-page book with many practical examples and, from different companies. We have Applause, the former U-Test company, AppSy, Aceton, and also a few customers that are providing few practical examples of what has been the benefit of embedding analytics very early in the life cycle. There's a digital version available. Just go to the mobileanalyticsplaybook.com and you can get your free copy online. Now, one thing that I've been reading in the security research is that 80% of mobile apps today reveal potential benefits to malicious hackers, obviously not on purpose, but we still find that many app developers and testers are sort of leaving the security testing to the last stage of the release cycle. And this is something that we wanted to help you change. So with that in mind, we've worked a lot with our HPE Security Fortify team for our customers, to allow our customers to get free security scans right from Mobile Center. So for that, to cover that topic, I want to invite Dylan to talk a little bit about the state of mobile security and the overall reason why we've done this integration for our customers. Dylan, it's all over to you now. You have a little bit less than 10 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Anton. Talked a lot about user experience and analytics, but like many conversations with the development focus, security is often left towards the later parts of the discussion. And if we look at the state of mobile security, in a lot of ways it parallels where security was for web applications a number of years ago. And many of the same tenets that we use across the security space apply equally to mobile, which means that attackers will follow the user base because that's where the valuable data is located. We see that in mobile application development, like often in other web app development, feature and time to market can often be prioritized over security. And this is also not aided by a lack of security training for mobile app developers. A unique assumption to the mobile space that we often find are that mobile app developers also assume that they're more secure because the back-end services are often not directly visible to the average user. But this security by obscurity distinction is something that's been proven dangerous many times over. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Anton mentioned a stat around 80% of mobile apps are vulnerable. I'll share a few more, not just about vulnerabilities, but actually where we're seeing trends in terms of actual breaches. And that's that the application layer, be it a mobile app or the backend web services, are responsible in about 84% of breaches. And on the mobile side, we're just seeing dramatic growth as the bad guys follow the users in growth in app development. So next slide, please. And part of that stems from the fact that many developers try to think like their users, and so they think from a user experience standpoint of how best to design the app. The flip side of that, from a security perspective, though, is needing to think about how the bad guys see your applications. They don't see login, a fast login process. They see opportunities to use SQL injection to steal the data from both, maybe not just your device, but as well as the backend server. And this is the mindset that we take in the security space. Now, HPE Security Fortify in particular we've been recognized as the leader in this space for many years. We've been around for over a decade, leading static and dynamic and runtime security testing, and that's been recognized both by our large enterprise customer base as well as independent experts at Gartner and Forrester. But when we look in mobile application testing, many customers are looking for that easy button because of the pressure to get applications out the door, to get new releases and updates out the door as quickly as possible. Customers often turn to our Fortify on Demand platform, which is our application security testing and program management as a service. Now within Fortify on Demand, it's a very broad platform that can do all types of security testing from discovery through static and dynamic analysis and production monitoring. If we go to the next slide, talking a little more about what we do on the mobile application side, is that we really take a holistic approach to security testing across the entire mobile app ecosystem. And what that means is looking not just at the mobile application device itself, but also analyzing network traffic as well as the back-end servers that are being accessed by the device while it's being used. So key tenets of our full level of testing include standing up the applications on physical devices and testing across all 3 layers. And by using information, for example, gleaned during the testing of an actual client-side application, that can better inform testing at the network and security server levels as well. As a full platform service, we have a variety of offering levels, and typically the starting point for most of our users is just a very basic reputation and behavioral analysis. So you can go ahead to the next slide. And what this really entails is standing up the application on a device, the client app, and looking at a couple of different features. So on the reputation side, where's the traffic going? The endpoints that it's accessing, are they safe? Are they known on watch lists as potentially malicious endpoints? Looking at the type of access that the device asks for, the type, is it asking for your geolocation information, your SSID, and so forth. But then also, is it protecting your data while it's in use? Are malware and other malicious components being unintentionally introduced, or is data being exposed where it could be shared with third-party services unintentionally? And this is the free express reputation behavioral analysis that we're pleased to really start introducing to Mobile Center users to begin the process of incorporating security into their development, and from there, growing their security initiative to take on more robust and mature levels of security testing.
All right, so that's an amazing news, I think, for all of our customers. And talking about customers now, thanks, Dylan. I'd like to welcome Jason, who's one of our great QA manager at AutoZone. So thanks, Jason, for joining us. So the floor is all yours, and I think the audience is looking forward to hearing from you in terms of your mobile testing framework, how you guys are organized, since you're actually working for a very well-known company. So Jason, floor is all yours.
Very good, thank you, Antoine. We can go to the next slide at this point. Okay, so some quick information about AutoZone for those of you that don't know. We're the USA's largest retailer of aftermarket parts and accessories. We're here in Memphis, Tennessee, and we have 5,500 stores in the USA, Mexico, Brazil, and Puerto Rico. And there's some more information about our company there. We're also one of the Fortune 500 companies, and we're been on the Fortune New York Stock Exchange since 1979. One of the reasons that one of the things that we've been able to do, getting the new HP tools into our software development here at AutoZone, is if you look at the diagram on the left, we have traditionally been a very manually testing focused company. Lots of intensive work that's done by manual testers, lots of cost associated with that, and then obviously maintainability has been a big issue along the years. By getting the new HP tools along with Mobile Center in-house, we're shifting left, obviously, on the SDLC, which is the big buzzwords these days, and we're moving more towards investing upstream in lots of unit testing and being able to do automation as a form of those repeatable, repetitive tasks. And we're introducing security and performance testing into our life cycle as well. So we're basically flipping the model upside down and being able to find those issues earlier in the life cycle. So we can go to the next slide. So we have several IT QA teams here at AutoZone that all roll up to me. The big call out on this slide is that I have teams in India, I have teams in Mexico, and I have teams here in the USA in Memphis. And they are all connected to the HPE suite of tools. And we have some subsidiary teams in California that take advantage of the tools as well over our LAN. And you'll see our diagram here in a few slides that talks about that. Since we've moved away from CompuWare's test partner product and moved into the HPE suite of tools in the first year, we've automated about 600 scripts in the tool set, which includes the mobile tool set as well. We're still struggling to get all of those tests automated. We have about a 20 to 80% automated to manual ratio on our testing, and we're trying to improve that every day. But as we move to more automation and shift left more, we're saving an average of about 80 FTE hours every time we release a product. So that's real hours and real money that we can count and use elsewhere. Okay, next slide. So our QA infrastructure probably is very similar to some of the other users that are in the audience right now. We have our big quality center implementation here in Memphis. We also have servers for UFT. We have test stores that we run automated testing on. We have the mobile center product with network virtualization, which is the Shunra NV product. We also have Performance Center integrated into our environment. One of the call-outs here is that we have load generators both here at our store support center in Memphis, and we also have them in California at our subsidiaries, so they can generate loads and do performance testing locally without having to exercise our WAN or run into any network issues there. So we have a pretty wide spread out implementation that people take advantage of, from India to Mexico to California to Tennessee. Okay, next slide. So when we were evaluating what we needed for a mobile testing solution, here are some of the things that we talked about, and I'm not going to read all of them verbatim, but obviously we wanted a way that we could remotely test our mobile apps on physical devices. Having a distributed team in multiple countries and in multiple locations inside this country, Mobile Center has allowed us to leverage the economy of scale of putting people together, and then obviously the price differences and cost savings by utilizing people offshore that can VPN into the product and do testing while we're away from the office at night. When you think about an FTE averaging $55 an hour versus an offshore person in the 20s, it doesn't take long to be able to count that cost savings up and realize, real savings to the bottom line. Also, we wanted to make sure that we had a product that integrated with the HP ALM and UFT and Performance Center solutions that we had spent good money getting stood up and implemented into our society here. And then obviously we wanted to have good metrics and reporting, and then we wanted to be able to have a way to automatically deploy the apps to multiple devices. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So some of the benefits that we have realized here, the first call out I'll say is actually at the bottom. We have about 100 automated mobile test cases. We have a test suite that we run every time that we do upgrades to our mobile app, and that runs at about 45 minutes versus several hours or perhaps even a day that would take somebody manually to be able to do that. So obviously we're gleaning that value from there. We're getting reporting and metrics, and we have monitoring because we have site scope included in our infrastructure. We're able to have the integration with ALM, as I talked about, as one of our needs. One of the cool things is that we have the ability to download different profiles and implement that into our testing cycle to mimic how different mobile phones and mobile carriers act, not only in the US, but around the world. So this really gives us a good idea of how this app is going to perform under a variety of different network conditions without us actually having to have somebody out in the field testing that. So that's obviously a huge cost savings. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So where we are in our journey, we have some next steps. Obviously, like other people mentioned earlier in the presentation, we want to have a full continuous integration environment where we have these scripts. Whenever a developer promotes their code, we want to be able to kick off this smoke test suite automatically and give them a run against the code, and then give the developer results back on their desktop so they can make changes or updates that they need to without it ever reaching a QA analyst or a mobile person in any way. So we want to recognize that value with a CI environment. Another thing is our Windows Mobile support. I know that Windows Phone is pretty much announced end of life here recently, but we do have, with one of our subsidiary companies, AllData, who sells basically information to repair shops. They have a lot of Windows need out in the field. So they take advantage, we will be taking advantage of that in an upcoming version of Mobile Center. Device emulation, as Jenny Mobile talked about, we're looking forward to being able not to have to purchase as many devices as we currently have in-house. The sensor virtualization is a big one for us because as we integrate both the information side, technology with the automotive industry. For example, if we could take a phone and scan a VIN code and get that information on a vehicle and then provide that information back to somebody to diagnose that vehicle for repair, that is the direction that we're headed. And then obviously cross-OS scripting is a big deal for us as well. Okay, next slide. So the last one here is just basically some challenges that we and a lot of folks are facing right now. A lot of it is best practices as mobile testing is evolving. How do you focus on which devices you're going to test and how you're going to test them? What's the best test strategies and approaches if you have multiple code bases? Not everybody is using Xamarin that generates that one that allows you to use across multiple OS types. What is the strategy versus mobile apps and centralized apps on mobile devices? What do we do as far as best recommendations on mobile security testing? And then how do we combat the continuous evolution of devices as they go from iPhone 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to the different Android devices as well? So we are facing this, and how do we approach this as well? And Mobile Center, the mobile team at HPE has been right there with us and listening to the thoughts and the ideas that we've had, and we've been able to have a good relationship with them as far as things that we need in upcoming releases. So, okay, I think that's all for me. Is that right?
Well, yeah, thanks, Jason. I think that was a very compelling story, and I think what your approach here really illustrates the complexity behind mobile testing, and there are so many different aspects of UX that we have to validate. And I'm seeing here performance, security, narrowing the scope of device testing, making sure it's on target. This has to be seamless for the end user, but God knows that it's so complex to actually deliver and put together as a framework. So thanks for that, very compelling, and thanks as well also for sharing a few things about Mobile Center. And actually, the three things today that we've shared, again, now, Mobile Center expands to testing on Genymotion emulator, and now you can get a one free license from Genymotion. We are embedding mobile analytics and feedback right into Mobile Center, so the importance of shifting mobile analytics left very early in the life cycle, the importance of also embedding security testing very early and get free security scans right from Mobile Center. those are the top 3 things. There are additional things that we've released, including the support of the SAP Fiori mobile technology. So things that you can investigate. One as well of the latest recognition from Gartner. They've assessed various vendors and the ability around functional automated testing, including mobile technology. And as you can see here, HPE Enterprise scored the highest, has the highest rank here. This is a great recognition because this is not just about ERP or CRM or web, but this had a focus on mobile technology. So the vision and the functionality is right here. Let me open it now for Q&A. As I do that, I want to encourage you to do 2 things now. Have a look at this mobileanalyticsplaybook.com. Again, that's a book about the importance of applying analytics on your mobile testing framework. And if you want to have a bit of more knowledge, technically on Mobile Center, we have done a specific website, mobilecenter.hpe.com. So at this point in time, I will open the question window. And all right, so let me just open it up. Does MC15 connect with SAP mobile platform? I'm not sure yet about this one, so I'll need to double check, but I believe we are. I'll need to double check the APIs. What else do we have? How do we get HPE Mobile Center trial version? Well, you could go on, if you Google HPE mobile testing, there's going to be a free trial available online. And also, if you want to go on mobilecenter.hpe.com, it's available for download there. Another question is, I am very interested in MC integrations with network virtualization. So for technical details, you can also go on mobilecenter.hpe.com. The good news is that when our customers acquire Mobile Center comes with free promotion. So NV, network virtualizations, the legacy Shun Rapids that allows to virtualize network conditions, comes embedded with Mobile Center. You have a free licenses of NV for mobile right from Mobile Center. All right, so we have another one, which is now around emulators. Genymotion will support for iOS. So unless you guys from Geny Mobile wants to take it, but Genymotion is really an Android emulator. It's only focuses on the Android world and not iOS. Mital, do you have anything to add on that? I think that's pretty accurate.
It's very accurate at this time.
Okay, all right. And we have to bear in mind that iOS is obviously is a more closed world, and we talk about a simulator, not an emulator. So simulator doesn't really emulate the device characteristics, the sensors. So whatever we've been saying earlier, between combining real devices and emulators, actually right. I would not say the same thing with iOS simulator, just because of all the different issues and limitations of the simulator. A good question for Geny Mobile. What is the difference between Geny Mobile and BlueStacks or Andy?
All right. All right. So here's the big difference. Okay, is that both have a good emulator, but they serve different purposes. Okay, if you are really serious about developing and deploying your mobile application in a enterprise-grade environment where you have automation scripts, where you have continuous integration framework in place, then you are going to find that Genymotion is hand over fist better than emulator from BlueStacks. Okay, if you are going to make sure that you can tweak every sensor, you can get instrumentation data on almost everything underneath, then you are going to find that Genymotion is way better tool, way better solution than BlueStacks. However, if you are a game player, you are going to find that BlueStacks probably is a much better solution if you wanted to play your Android game on your PC. Okay, so it's not that there are different use cases supported by these two solutions. Okay, and while here we are talking about developing and deploying enterprise-grade applications using enterprise-grade tools, and that's where the difference starts to emerge. I will be more than happy to discuss this offline. If you send me an email, sales at, and I will still receive it, but we can continue this conversation for whoever is interested.
Yeah, and thanks, Mital. And there's another question linked to it, which is, does Mobile Center support any other emulators? So yes, we do. Again, you know, we've done our homework on behalf of our customers. So yes, you could integrate with Google Android emulator, that's for sure. However, again, you know, it's not just a matter of, you know, what emulators we support. It's really a matter of what emulator allows you to replicate the real user experience as close as possible, again, to real world conditions. And this is the work that we've done, and you know, we've chosen really, you know, Genymotion for that topic, for the breadth of capabilities that other emulators might not support today. Right. There's a question about Mobile Center supporting Selenium, and I'm going to extend that to Appium. That is going to be part of the next release, which is just a few months away, and so we are right there. So yes, thanks again to Jason from AutoZone who presented it. I think this is the last question maybe for today. Does Mobile Center integrate with BSM solutions? Absolutely. So today we are integrated with Apple's Active. Apple's Active is our SaaS tool that actually allows to monitor the performance and availability of the front-end devices, the different services, the SLAs, and Mobile Center expands Apple's Active to the mobile technology. So you are able to record and replay via true client technology real user actions that you simulate at the frequency of your choice. So thanks for joining. I think this is it for today. I'm available offline if you have any questions, as well as on the mobileanalyticsplaybook.com. Thanks for joining, guys, today, and well, look forward to delivering the next innovation of Mobile Center in a couple of months from now.
Wonderful. Thank you for a wonderful presentation today, Anton, Mittal, Dylan, and Jason. And just a quick reminder that today's webinar is recorded, and you will receive an email in the next few days with the link for the on-demand recording, where you can also view the slide deck and the Q&A in the coming week. Please be sure to complete the short survey after the webinar ends and opt in to receive more information from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and Jenny Mobile. And thanks again for a wonderful presentation, and we're glad you all could join us. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or afternoon. Take care.